If everything can be paused, I will ask the spiritual court to put death on hold, so we can have time to breathe, and the rain of tears shall stop.
I have an appeal to the Supreme Court of Justice and Truth. Your mediation is necessary. Pause everything for a moment.
That anger, frustration, which was demonstrated by the Secretary General of my organization, was not necessary. And I want to say to you, Dr. Nlo, you know, the unfortunate thing sometimes which we tend to do as human beings is not to look at issues, but you look at the individual. And I think in the case of Balapana and how Parliament dealt with it, and how at the end the organization dealt with it, had everything to do with a Mbalula who did not see me as a speaker, and by the way, a senior member of the organization at that, but who looked at me and saw this woman who had just been moved from cabinet into parliament as speaker to wait for the next election. And this woman who's full of vengeance, probably when people looked at what was happening.
Our mother, Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, has decided to speak. She has decided to talk about what is going on in politics. But I would like to begin by saying I want to be on the side of the truth, not because I genuinely love the truth from the bottom of my heart. It doesn't mean I love the truth wholeheartedly. If it's against me, I may be offended as well, like any other human being. But I try by all means to be on the side of the truth because I don't want to lie to the people, like mainstream media, politicians, activists, and many other people. What I can tell you is that politics is not just a dirty game. It's not just a puzzle that needs to be solved. It's not just a mystery that needs to be unfolded. But politics is more than that. For a lack of a better way, I can say, politics is evil. Politics is evil. It's like when you join politics, it's like you have joined a cult. You have now agreed to become a member of a cult. It's like selling yourself to the kingdom of darkness or selling your soul to the darkness so that your soul can be controlled by darkness and everything related to that. So this is how politics work. You should never join a politics and expect everything to be good. It's not just about being corrupt. It's not just about earning a salary. It's not just about living a luxurious life. Because even for an example, if you are a member of a cult, it's not about like enjoying your money, like buying any car you want, living in a luxurious house, in other words, living a luxurious life. It's not like that. It's not like that. The most important thing is not about like living a luxurious life. The most important thing about being a member of a cult is to adhere to the terms and conditions of the cult. In other words, is to follow the rules and regulations. Because the rules and regulations are more important than you enjoying the money. Sometimes we think these people enjoy money. It's like whenever we see them flying, it's like they enjoy themselves. In most cases, it's all about fulfilling the rules, adhering to the terms and conditions, because it's like a card. You have to follow the terms and conditions. That is why most of them, they start talking the moment they come out of the cult. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in friendships. It's happening in a workplace. It's happening even in churches. Even in churches, people will start talking the moment they are no longer attending that particular church. But as long as they attend that particular church, they are also in a cult. They have to adhere to the terms and conditions. In other words, they have to keep everything that is dark happening in that particular church in secret. That thing is a secret. You don't tell anyone. You don't tell your husband, your wife. You don't tell anybody. Why? Because you are like a member of the cult. Same applies to the friendships. So when people are still together, they keep secrets for one another. But when that friendship falls apart, one of the friends will start talking. In other words, it's happening everywhere. So it's not like these people are accountable. It's not like these people are accountable. I always talk about accountability, being loyal to the people. That's the most important thing. It's not because I'm the most loyal person. It's not because I'm the most truthful person. I always say when truth or accountability is against me, I will always feel offended. But I will try by all means to be on the side of the truth, because it's not easy to be on the side of the truth, because sometimes it has to be against you. Sometimes the truth can come against you and you will be exposed. But anyway, I love accountability because this is where we correct one another. This is where I correct myself. And I also expect other people again to be corrected. And I know some people will say, these people are accountable. Now they are truthful. Now it's like, now they have changed. No, they are not. If you can give them another opportunity, if they can be given another opportunity, they won't bring any change. This is what they do. Politics are like that. Politics are very cruel. As long as you are inside, we have to protect one another. There are terms and conditions. In other words, if you are not disciplined enough, in other words, you may lose everything, including your life as well. You may lose everything. So in order for you like to talk like this, to come on a platform, live platform, or in public and speak like this, in other words, you should have already decided even in your heart that no matter or whatever happens in your life, it doesn't, in other words, you don't care. Let me just put it like that. No matter what happens in your life, you no longer care. Even if it takes your soul to be taken, you don't care. But it doesn't mean you are accountable. It doesn't mean you are accountable. It's just that you have just confessed it. Because there's something that is pushing you. There are circumstances that are making you to confess. And now you'll end up looking as if you are a very accountable person. Accountability is something which is very different. Accountability hates compromise. Accountability hates lying to the people. Accountability is the friend of the truth, is always aligned with the truth. In other words, if you find yourself in a bad situation and there's no accountability and there's no truth, if you're truly accountable, you'll walk out of that environment instantly. Why? Because accountability cannot dwell where lies dominate. Why? Because accountability is also a friend of consciousness. In other words, your consciousness should tell you, should guide you and say, you know what? You should not take this path. You cannot associate with these people. You cannot take this decision. You cannot do this. The better way is to come out as soon as possible. Same applies to friendships. Accountability will warn you. The truth will warn you and tell you that, you know what? These friends you go around with, they are not the good friends. You'll also receive warnings in a form of signs to say, be careful, you are warned, these people are not good for you. Then you have to get out of the situation if you agree with accountability, if you are indeed accountable. If you are accountable, this is how it works. This is how it works. Because we have to understand that politics is all about empty promises, it's about lies, it's about doing evil activities like engaging in corruption, disappearing those who are supposed to be disappeared because they are on the way of their activities, or maybe those people are a stumbling block to whatever they want to do. So in other words, those people should be eliminated, or those people should be disappeared. That's how it works. In politics, they have to clear their path very well. In other words, they need to know who should be appointed as a judge for this court. It can be High Court, Constitutional Court, or any other court. They know that because they have to create their own path. They should know who should become the municipal manager of this municipality, the mayor, the district head, something like that. They have to control it because they have to, like for an example, clear their own path. They have to organize everything. So that is why truth and accountability cannot dwell in politics, cannot live in politics. So, for an example, when these politicians state facts and tell you something that you may believe to be true, or you know that it's an obvious truth, it doesn't mean they are aligned with the truth. It doesn't mean they are aligned with the truth. Many people will talk facts. In other words, many people will give you advices of life. But in most cases, it doesn't mean they themselves are in alignment with the truth and accountability. That is why I always say politics are very dangerous. But you know what? Politics are like a bully. they want a victim, someone they can control, someone they can manipulate. And that person is someone who is unemployed, someone who doesn't have financial freedom, someone who wants to depend, someone who has a hope, someone who think like maybe tomorrow will be better, tomorrow will be better. Someone who believes in those things become a victim of politicians or a victim of politics. Why? Because you think based on what they promise you, and you cannot think straight, because whenever they come to you, they talk about your needs, and you can tell that indeed you have serious needs, and they tell you about people who are oppressing you, and you can tell that I'm being oppressed. In other words, they tell you about the things that are around you. In other words, they make you to become aware of your surroundings, and you can tell that indeed these people are truthful. But the reality is, these people are way dangerous, or more dangerous than the oppressor, more dangerous than the colonizer, more dangerous than everybody else. Why? Because they want to come as if, in other words, they want to come in your life looking like the Messiah. You say, you know what? We are going to save you from unemployment. We are going to save you from poverty. We are going to save you from all these things. When in reality, they want you to remain in that situation, to remain in those conditions. Because while you are in those conditions, they can continue manipulating you. They can continue bullying you. Because the politicians or the politics is the bully. Is the bully. So is not aligned with the truth. Is not aligned with the truth. Even when it comes to the cult, sometimes when they tell you about the beautiful side of the cult, you can believe that these people, they love you. But when it comes to the consequences, when it comes to the things that you need to do, when it comes to like the friends that you have to lose, now you have to distance yourself. Now you have to live a certain lifestyle. Yes, you have money, but at the end of the day, you don't even have time to enjoy it, because most of the time you have to be busy thinking about how to fulfill these terms and conditions, how to remain loyal to the cult. So the cult is not associated with the truth, is not connected with the truth, no matter what. Same applies with the politics. That is why they love talking when it's over. They love talking when it's over. And in most cases, we love talking when we feel like everybody now is against us, or there's no longer money coming in. We start talking. This is what is happening when it comes to politics. That is why you should not trust these people, because we are already living in slavery. That is why I'm like, if there's someone who has created all of us, because I believe that when I use my common sense, there's someone who is a creator. And that person can see that we are struggling. So in other words, that person probably might be the only one who can save us from oppression, who can save us from all these things, not the politicians. Not the politicians. In other words, if the one who has created all of us can't intervene, then it means when it comes to the politicians, it's a waste of time. I'm saying this based on experience and based on historical records. Based on historical records. 30 years is a long time. Yes, some people might say this democracy, this freedom is still new, but I have a different perspective. We are not in freedom. We are not in freedom. It's just that we are in a different form of slavery, different form of oppression. We are not in freedom. But there are people who are like, no, this freedom is still new. Okay, but I believe that 30 years is a long time to make the changes. Or 30 years is enough to make the changes that are obvious to develop the economy. In other words, to empower people. In other words, to have like African inventors or South African inventors when it comes to economy. It's enough. 8 years is enough. But when it comes to politics, it's different. So you can tell that they have a different mission. Because if all of us can be financially free, we won't even think about these people. In other words, they will make their own rallies and we won't even go there. We won't, because we would be busy with some other things. But if you are desperate, if you are poor, if you are hungry, then they are like, we will save you. We will save you. Then you believe them. You believe this thing is similar to the church. The most painful thing about this is like politics and the church, same WhatsApp group. Because even in church, it's like, yes, they want to tell you about the promises that your life will change, this will change. But it's like they like it when you are still poor, when you are suffering. In other words, they want to, like, they create a dependency so that you can depend upon them all the time. They don't want to tell you that your prayer alone can be enough. They don't want to tell you that. But they will tell you that 6 a.m. you have to come to the church. We have to pray. On this day, we have a night prayer. On this day, you have to be touched physically by the pastor. On this other day, the pastor will call you. You have to hear the voice of the prophet, the voice of the pastor. They create that dependency. They create that dependency so that you're not going anywhere. So that you are not going anywhere. So that is why it's difficult to tell someone that leave that church. Pray in your own house. The Most High will hear you. It's difficult to change someone's perception when it comes to that. And again, when it comes to the politics, it's the same thing. All these people are using the very same strategy, even when it comes to companies. The companies, they've created that dependency. How do they create it? They pay you low wages or low salaries as much as they can. Is measured, is strategically measured. Why? Because they want to create that dependency. In other words, you have to like work 30 days, or work the entire week and then they pay you. You worked for 2 weeks, then they pay you. Or you work for the whole month, then they pay you. Then after 3 days, after 5 days, that salary is finished. You have to expect them to pay you again at the end of the month. This is what is happening. Everybody is using this strategy. Everybody is using this strategy. Why? It's because there's no truth in them. This is what is happening. There's no truth in these people. So that is why the politicians, they know that these ones, they are not paying you accordingly. Even when the politics or the government, when, like, for an example, they set up a minimum wage or a minimum salary, they try by all means to make sure that is as low as possible. Even if they increase it, but in other words, it should not give you that financial freedom. Why? Because you will start thinking independently without being influenced by them, without being influenced by what they say. In other words, you will choose where to stay, and you will choose whom to listen. But you have to understand one thing. It's politics. They act as if they are fighting for you, but they want you to remain there. Others, they act as if they are praying for you, but they want you to remain there. In other words, everybody is pretending. This is what I can say. At the end of the day, we have to admit that everybody is pretending and they don't care, even though they act as if they care. But the most important thing is that they don't care at all. Many of the people can attest, can agree with me that at the end of the month, after they end their salaries, after 2 days, 3 days, it's gone. It's gone. In other words, it has been measured to be like that so that you can continue working, because they don't want you to leave this company. So that is why even if you can mess up, sometimes you can even get like 7 warnings and they won't do anything to you. Why? Because they want you to continue working, because they know that many people are not interested in what you are doing. They know that many people are not interested in what you are doing. So that is why most of these companies, they don't want anyone who will speak on behalf of the employees, who will complain about salaries. They don't want those people. But there are politicians who are like, you know what? We will come and represent you. They act as if. Most of them will start talking the day they left. Most of them, or all of them, 99.999% of them will start talking when they are gone. Why? It's because they don't care. All these people don't care. All these people don't care. Even if we can, like, okay, now we understand what you are saying, let's follow you, then become our president. Then the moment he or she becomes the president, she forgets about you. She will start again creating his or her own team, coming up with his or her strategies, appointing her judges, appointing everybody who will protect him or who will protect her. That's how it works. In other words, there's no truth in these people. I'm sorry to say this. There's no truth in this. You know, yes, we can feel sorry for them when they go through such and such, when they go through difficult challenges, when they go through the valley of the shadow of the shadow of death, yes, we may feel sorry for them because it's painful. Humanly speaking, it's painful. But we have to understand that some of these people should not be given another chance. So when it comes to leadership, we don't want people who are politically minded when it comes to the leadership. We want people, who are like Captain Ibrahim Traore. Because I know when we talk about Captain Ibrahim Traore, most people don't like. But you need someone who has a mentality of growing the economy, of empowering the people, of bringing change. That's the kind of a person you want in the leadership of a country, in the leadership of an organization, in the leadership of anything. You need that kind of a person, even if that person is not perfect. But as long as that person is willing to make changes, then that person is okay. It's someone you can rely on. It's someone you can trust. Most of these people, even if you can give them another chance and say, you know what, right now we have to put you as the president, as our leader, they will do the very same thing. They will create the very same system, the new system that will oppress the people again. This is what I've realized about politics, and that is why I don't want to waste my time on politics. But if you still believe that politics is a way to go, I'm not trying to stop anyone. I'm not trying to stop anyone, but I'm trying by all means to be on the side of the truth, because mainstream media will promise you that if you can vote for this political party, if you can vote for this one, things will change. But I have a different perspective right now. We have failed as people. We have failed as people. And you can tell by the number of these political parties that it's not about the people. It's not about unity. It's not about like coming together. It's not about that. It's not about that. Even if we have the same problem, we want to come with different solutions. Yes, as people, we have, like, for an example, various solutions when it comes to solving a problem. In other words, someone may solve my problem in a different way, or maybe I may solve this problem in a different way as well. But in most cases, when it comes to politics, we want to try by all means. The moment we see a problem, or the moment I come up with a solution, someone will try by all means to prove that my solution can't work. This is what is happening in politics. In politics, they are trying by all means to prove to us that the solution of others can't work. In other words, the other politician is like trying to prove that the other politician is not good. And the other politician is proving to us as well that, you know why? It's because they know that we have time to listen to them. Why? Because we are not busy. We are relying on them. That one day these people will come and solve our problems. So what I can say right now is that let them do whatever they want to do. Stop following these politicians. Let them do whatever they want. If they want to increase the price of food, let it be so. If they want to do whatever, let it be so. The only thing that you can try to live independently. If they oppress you, just accept it instead of begging them, because they want you to beg them. They want you to bow down to them. These are politicians. These are politicians. It's like these people, they are like living based on the script. It's like there's a script that is hidden, and they have to follow the script. It's like everything they do is on the script that was written long time ago. It's like the script that they are following was written many years ago. You can see by the way they act. They don't care. They don't care. But when they come to the people, during the times of elections, they act as if they care. But you have to know one thing. They don't care. They are happy when they see you wearing the t-shirt of their organization. Why? Because now they are convinced that you are now depending on them. You are their victim. How many companies have been created by these political parties, even opposing political parties? These people, they get a funding of like about like maybe 40 million, 20 million, 100 million, 200 million just to campaign. What can you do with that money? Why can't you campaign by building factories to say this factory was built from the scratch by this political party, and 5,000 people or 1,000 people are working for that particular factory? In this area, this other factory was built by another political party, and there are many people who are working in that factory, in that mall, in that, like for an example, in that organization. There are many people who are working. Why these people are not using that money? Because if you campaign like that and start telling even the people who are working in that factory and say, you know what, this factory was built by this political party. In other words, it won't even be necessary for you to go and campaign to those people, because those people will will vote for you and will also convince their own communities and their own children to vote for you. So politics is not about like making an impact to like change your lifestyle or to better your life. It's not about that. It's to create a dependency. So in other words, even when they give you like a tender, they are like, you have to remember us. You have to like depend on us. Even when they give you like a job, they are like, you have to. In other words, even when they give you a job, they have to fight for you somewhere. They have to like create a connection. Why? Because these people, they don't own companies. These people, they don't like, they have never created anything from the scratch by themselves. To say, you know what, let's help. Why? It's because those who are funding them, as I've said, that in politics, it's all about terms and conditions. Those who are funding you, they sit down with you on a table. They're like, you know what? These are the terms. So that is why they won't tell you who is funding who in these politics or amongst these political parties. No one will tell you who is funding you, who is funding who. Why? Is because there are terms and conditions. This is what is happening. This is what I wanted to say in this video. My perspective is completely different. I know there are people who are feeling sorry for umama Maphisa Nqakula. Nosiviwe Maphisa Nqakula. There are many people who feel sorry for her, and etc. etc. I understand. I understand. It's a human thing. It's a human thing. When you see someone going through such and such, you are like, you get hurt. You feel sorry, even if that person maybe had done something wrong to you. you will feel sorry for them when they go through such and such. But when it comes to me, I just want to say, man, our people have suffered. Our people have suffered a lot. A lot. They are still suffering even today. And some of our forefathers were hanged. They had to go through slavery. But today, we still have the very same people who want us to go through the same slavery. In other words, I cannot feel anything. I cannot feel. I know it's a human thing to feel sorry for people, but I cannot, because I'm like, why can't we get, at least maybe by default or maybe by coincidence or maybe by luck, why can't we get someone in politics who is for people? Maybe once amongst the people there in African National Congress. Why can't we get maybe one person, maybe by luck, and say, you know what, this one is better? But this is a sign that all these people are the same, and you cannot expect anything good from them. The situation will not change. Unemployment will never change. Unemployment will never change. Poverty will never change. Nothing will change, because inside the system, everybody is controlled by the terms and conditions. And the one who's holding the remote, the one who's drafting the terms and conditions, is the colonizer. But they will always lie to you that you are living in freedom. That's painful.
If everything can be paused, I will ask the spiritual court to put death on hold, so we can have time to breathe, and the rain of tears shall stop.
I have an appeal to the Supreme Court of Justice and Truth. Your mediation is necessary. Pause everything for a moment.